All right, so I want to go to Mike Huckabee here. He's going to just absolutely, positively open up his ass and take a giant, steamy shit on rationality, sanity. Just everything he says here is going to be a completely backwards-ass argument for Christian theocracy. So here he is talking about the anti-gay bigot Kim Davis, who wouldn't give out marriage licenses in Kentucky. And he's also going to go after Muslims a little bit here, too. Take a look.
I'm not up here to fight with Jeb or to fight with anybody else. But I am here to fight for somebody who is a county clerk elected under the Kentucky Constitution that 75% of the people of that state had voted for, that said that marriage was between a man and a woman. The Supreme Court, in a very, very divided decision, decided out of thin air that they were just going to redefine marriage. It's a decision that the other justices in dissent said they didn't have, and there wasn't a constitutional shred of capacity for them to do it. I thought that everybody here passed ninth grade civics. The courts cannot legislate. It's what Roberts said. But heck, it's what we learned in civics. The courts can't make a law. They can interpret one. They can review one. They can't implement it. They can't force it. But here's what happened. Because the courts just decided that something was going to be, and people relinquished it, and the other two branches of government sat by silently, I thought we had three branches of government. They were all equal to each other. We had separation of powers, and we had checks and balances. If the court can just make a decision and we just all surrender to it, we have what Jefferson said was judicial tyranny. The reason that this is a real issue that we need to think about.
Thank you, Governor.
No, let me finish this one thought, Jake. I haven't gotten that much time, so I'm going to take just what little I can here. We made accommodation to the Fort Hood shooter to let him grow a beard. We made accommodations to the detainees at Gitmo. I've been to Gitmo, and I've seen the accommodations that we made to the Muslim detainees who killed Americans. You're telling me that you cannot make an accommodation for an elected Democrat county clerk from Rowan County, Kentucky? What else is it other than the criminalization of her faith and the exaltation of the faith of everyone else who might be a Fort Hood shooter or a detainee at Gitmo? Well,
so did you understand his argument? He's saying Muslims have it too easy in America and Christians have it too hard. Does that even need a rebuttal? Mike, what an absurd claim. And he said specifically, I know that Muslims got accommodations at Gitmo. Oh, did they? Was that before or after we did anal feeding, which is anal rape, obviously a form of torture? Was that before or after the sleep deprivation or the waterboarding or the hypothermia torture or the telling them we're going to rape and kill your family? Or at what point did they get accommodations? In between torture sessions? I'm curious. And by the way, remember, we know from the Senate torture report, about 25% of the people we tortured, we know and they admit are innocent. That's just what they're admitting to. Remember, Obama refused to release pictures because apparently the pictures were, above and beyond even what we saw at Abu Ghraib, which is fucking crazy to think about. But this idea that, Muslims, they have it way too easy in America. But the Christians, oh my God, the poor fucking Christians. When are you guys going to get your break, man? When are you going to get your break? So, and to take this a step further here, he's arguing quite clearly that he thinks Kim Davis should have the right to take away the rights of gays. And he wants to hide behind the idea of, it's my faith, don't be a bigot, you can't come for my faith, to make that argument. But that's patently absurd, and as he already laid out for you there, he doesn't accept that argument when it's any other faith. In fact, recently we covered a story about the Muslim flight attendant who refused to serve alcohol because it's her faith. I came out swinging on that and said, you can't fucking do that. It's part of the job. You don't get to override, what your business tells you to do, or secular laws, for example, because you're religious. It's ridiculous. But did Mike Huckabee come to rush to her defense? Because it's faith, religious freedom, liberty, they get to make that decision. No, he didn't. Why? Because it's not the right faith. But when it's his faith, he wants to, be able to override any secular laws And he wants to be able to do whatever he wants. He wants theocratic anarchism is the best way to describe it. And he's also just flat out guilty of what he's accusing the Supreme Court of doing. Because he's saying to the Supreme Court, these guys can't legislate, these guys can't do tyranny, this is judicial tyranny because they disagree with me. That's basically his argument. Well, dude, you're the one that wants tyranny. Because the system did work with the recent decision that said we now allow gay marriage. But you just you're acting like it didn't work because they just disagreed with you. You know, he's acting like in the decisions, Ruth Bader Ginsburg and all the other liberal justices were like, we don't really have an argument here, but we're just going to let the gays get married anyway. That's just what we do here. We just, we're purposefully being tyrannical. No, that's not what the fuck they did. Read the arguments. Read the arguments. There's not a constitutional shred by which they can make that argument. Not a constitutional shred except the fucking 14th Amendment, which is how they did make the argument, where they said a reasonable interpretation of equal protection under the law includes gay people being able to get married. See, he can't actually defeat the argument, so he doesn't acknowledge what the real argument is. He just strawmans them and acts like, tyranny! This is judicial tyranny. No, again, ironically, you're the one advocating for tyranny, because as you're saying there are 3 co-equal branches of government, you're saying that if you're president, you will override the other 2 branches. You will pretend like those checks and balances don't exist. You'll pretend like the other 2 branches of government are not co-equals, and you will override them because your opinion is to disagree with one of those branches. Well, you don't know how the system works, Mike. It's not them that don't know how it works. On this one, the system actually worked perfectly fine. It's just that since they disagree with you, you're throwing a tantrum, you're throwing a fit, and you're acting like they're tyrannical as you are advocating for being tyrannical. And finally, dude, you're going to lose. Like Mike Huckabee in his backwards-ass 1953 mind thinks, okay, yeah, I got this, man. This is a great argument that I'm really going to get elected on. Over 60% of the American people are now for gay marriage, and I wouldn't be surprised if that number shot up tremendously right after the decision. Because the poll number I'm citing you is from before we actually had gay marriage now in every single state. I wouldn't be surprised if it's fucking over 70% now. So this idea of I'm going to win this debate and I'm going to get elected if I run on this, what a ridiculous idea. Even young Republicans, man, are against you. You're fucking bordering on, you might as well go back and start talking about segregation again, too, if you're really going to keep bringing this up and say that, or bring up interracial marriage. No, I don't like it when the colors mix. You're a fucking hair follicles length away, son. So, Mike Huckabee being ridiculous, as he usually is, and this time around, believe you me, he's got no chance of getting anywhere in this race, and that's a good thing.